Good day, everyone. So welcome to another episode of health and safety topic that we will be covering in this video. So right now I'm recording this video in front of the window of the apartment that I'm staying here in Saudi Arabia, and I can really feel the heat of the temperature that's coming from the outside. So why I'm saying this, because basically the topic that we will be discussing today is all about this. So this is one of the requests of our viewers, and I hope that I will be able once again to impart the important informations with regards to this topic. I have prepared a few notes, and I have to read this from time to time so that I will be able to give you the important informations that hopefully would help you guys in your preparation to this kind of work environment. So right now in Saudi Arabia, there's already a legal requirement, a mandate that it started last June 15, that between June 15 to September 15, there is a prohibition of work between the time of 12 noon until 3 in the afternoon. So let's start. Now, what is heat stress? So let's define heat stress. Okay. So by definition, okay, so the heat stress occurs when our body is unable to cool itself sufficiently, and as a result, our body's temperature rises above a safe level. So let's try to understand, okay, what are the factors that contributes to heat stress. It's not only about temperature, it's not only about during summer, because there are activities in our companies that exposes our people to a potential outcome of having a heat stress. Okay, so for example, if you are working in a foundry area, or if you are working in hot meals, or if you are working in bakery, or areas wherein the exposure of extreme temperatures, hot temperature is there. So it can happen all throughout the year, but the frequency or the number of events or incidents related to heat stress usually happens in this kind of period, no? Or in this period between June to September. So apart from the temperature or the work environment, there are other three factors. So basically there are four. So I have mentioned already the temperature, or what we know as the work environment. So what else? The second factor is the work rate, or the type of activity that the worker is doing. So obviously, if this work requires a lot of physical movement, so our body, the temperature of our body also increases because the blood flow increases. Okay, if you notice, if you are playing games or if you are performing some exercise, you perspire, we sweat. This sweating mechanism by our body is actually the way of getting rid of the hot temperature in our body, and it regulates the body temperature. So the perspiring or the sweating is actually important in regulating the body's temperature. Okay, so the work rate is another factor that affects heat stress. The next factor is, apart from temperature, this is which is one of the challenging part here in Saudi, especially in the eastern province where we are near the sea, is the humidity. Okay, humidity, it adds a lot of headache for us, health and safety professionals, because It's not only the temperature, but the moment it's mixed with humidity, the heat index, okay, factor in your work environment increases. Okay? So if it increases, obviously the body also gets affected. Okay? Because the outside environment is already hot. And our body is trying to regulate to control the temperature within. But if it is hot and our body is hot, so it's what? A recipe for disaster. And of course, last but not the least factor is the type of clothing that our workers are wearing. So it's a very important consideration that we need to make sure that what our workers are wearing are actually comfortable, and they called it a breathable type of clothing in order to allow an airflow to enter into your body's skin. Okay? So those are the four factors that affects our body in developing heat stress. So I hope you get that message or information in this discussion. Okay. So since those are the factors, and we know that we have to deal in regulating or controlling the temperature of our body, so the main focus here for us health and safety professionals is to ensure that our workers are protected from developing this heat stress. Okay. So now, basic controls is what? First, if you are working under the heat of the sun, you provide shades. Okay. You provide means of cooling. It can be in a form of fans, or if your company is able to provide air conditioning system, that would be great. So it allows your workers to recuperate from the hot environment outside. It allows their body to cool down. So that's one control that you can think of. Of course, since one of the factor is work rate, so you have to, what? Another control is to make sure that the work and regimen, okay, the work and stop kind of control must be implemented. Okay, so most of the guidelines in heat stress, they already specify that kind of work and stop work regimen. So if the temperature is this much, there is a certain period that you allow your work or your workers to continue working. So you have to observe that. No? As a company, it needs to be clear. And as a health and safety professionals, you need to monitor that kind of work regimen because that's a very important way of protecting your staff. And of course, we are talking about our body temperature. So if we are heating up, we need to cool it down. So what we need? Provision of drinking water. Or some companies, they provide electrolytes. Okay, this what? Replenishes, okay, the electrolytes that our body loses the moment we perspire. So those are the basic kind of control measure that we can implement in our work site. Okay, but of course, let's not just deal on that only. Okay, as health and safety professionals, again, we always need to go back in ensuring that every work activity that our company is doing is risk assessed. Okay, so you need to assess every work. Okay, you need to understand the hazards that they are exposed to, because if you do that, then you will be able to identify the controls that you can implement. Okay, so there are other things that you can help your workers by giving them information and training. Information on what to do and what not to do in this type of weather. Okay? For example, workers, they don't have to drink soft drinks or energy drinks or coffee or tea in this kind of weather. So that information you can give to the people. Of course, they have to eat light. okay? Because when we eat a lot, there's a need for more work of our body, and we already say that one factor is work rate. So let's encourage them to eat light. Basically, eat fruits or vegetables and refrain from eating meat or heavy type of food. Okay. Of course, they have to have enough rest. That's an important factor because we are talking our body, so enough rest is an important factor to control our body's temperature. Okay. So we need to encourage them that every 15 minutes they need to drink. Okay, don't wait for them to be to feel thirsty. Okay, it needs to be like automatic that every 15 minutes. So this is one way of you guys to protect them, that every 15 minutes they need to drink water. So it's kind of reminder. You remind them, okay, and you remind them also that if they feel the early signs of being exposed to heat stress, like dry mouth, like headache, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. So these are early signs of leading to heat stress. So people need to be encouraged to stop their work, go to the shaded area, and allow their body to recuperate. Okay? And we don't want to reach to the level of the severe signs where we end up resulting to a heat stroke. Okay? So I hope that I was able to impart. It's kind of long video, but I hope that I was able to give you a brief information about heat stress, what are the factors that contribute to heat stress, and what are the practical measures that you can implement in your organization. I know that there are a lot of literature that you can search in the internet, like information of the early signs of heat stress, because there are basically four signs of illnesses related to heat stress: the heat rash, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. But I will not be discussing it here today, and I hope that you have learned something and continue to research and continue to carry out your risk assessment in protecting your employees. So thank you for listening, and I hope that I was able to impart to you guys the lessons or the things that you need to know about heat stress. So thank you, and until next video presentation, until another topic of health and safety. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again in another video. And please don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. So thank you and have a good day.